There you go. We're gonna talk about Epstein. That's right, I'm gonna call it Epstein, not Epstein, Epstein, okay? We're gonna be talking about it in a more German way. Is that okay? So you know that there's been this whole thing about the Epstein list, how Trump has been trying his bestest to sweep it under the rug, sweep it under the table. Or is it Trump? Trump slams his own supporters as stupid people for falling for what he calls the Epstein hoax. Epstein hoax. Bill Clinton made a list of pedophiles in which he put himself. I mean, I guess that is what we call radical honesty. Let's see. Let's just see how much Trump respects his voters and supporters.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your attorney general told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen of that?
Not the attorney general. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats and
All a hoax. Has your attorney general told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen of that?
What evidence have you seen that it's a hoax? Well, the evidence is that I say it's a hoax, and therefore it is a hoax. That is all evidence that is needed, I guess.
It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats, and some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net, and so they try and do the Democrats' work. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all.
So, in other words, the question was, what evidence have you seen that it's a hoax? And the answer is, well, the evidence is that I say so, and we should forget about it and talk about the economy, actually.
All of the things we've done, including the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. The animal you should be talking about is the auto pen, because I think it's the biggest scandal, one of them in American history.
Will you ask Attorney General Pam Bondi to release more documents to finally put this controversy to bed?
You know, whatever's credible, she can release. If a document...
Whatever's credible. This is actually key. So whatever we like, whatever we approve can be released. Anything else is just not credible enough to release. It's simple as that. Also, it's a hoax. So why would you want to look into something that's basically a hoax?
Document is credible. If a document's there that is credible, she can...
And for the record, the answer to the previous question is there is no evidence. If there was any evidence, he would have presented it. But he dodged the question, so there is no evidence.
Release. I think it's good. But it's just really, it's just a subject. He's dead, he's gone. And all it is the Republicans, certain Republicans got duped by the Democrats, and they're following a Democrat playbook. And no different than Russia, and all the other hoaxes.
Holding people accountable is such a hoax. Hello, Maya Mayor.
They're started by the Democrats, and some Republicans, in this case I was surprised, but they got duped.
So there you go. There we have it. I think there's also a Truth Social by Trump somewhere here. I have it. There you go. I've been so focused on the sugar that... Where is it? Where is my little Trump thing? There you go. The radical left Democrats have hit pay dirt again. Just like with the fake and fully discredited Steele dossier, the lying 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, which the Dems swore had come from Russia. No, it came from Hunter Biden's bathroom. And even the Russia scam itself. A totally fake and made up story, used in order to hide crooked Hillary Clinton's big loss in the 2016 presidential election. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. You're no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. What? What is this shade that he throws at Republicans? He's saying that Republicans don't stick together like glue? The Republicans do not know how to stick together. Their new scab is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this bullshit hook, line, and sinker. They haven't learned their lesson and probably never will. Even after being conned by the lunatic left for 8 long years, I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history. And all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. So, yeah, this is actually a thing that causes a pretty big split within Mr. Donald Trump's support base, which will always make me happy. Okay? This sort of thing will always make me, especially if Trump's response is, oh, those people are just traitors, weaklings, they're just doing the Democrats' work. It's all a hoax. Evidence that it's a hoax? Well, it is a hoax. It is a hoax like all those other things that I say that are a hoax. Link it. Link Stephen King's statements, okay? I want to see them. Link them to me. Oh. Trump slammed his own supporters. My goodness. What a beautiful, beautiful... I haven't been talking about the Epstein files thing super much, but I find this very amusing that Trump is so desperate to make everybody forget it, and everybody just refuses to forget it because it's a pretty big thing. In fact, before we get the Stephen King commentary, I want to take a look if there's anything that we can glimpse. This feels like something MAGA split over Epstein file. Trump can stop MAGA from obsessing about the whoops. Uh-oh. Is there anything newer? My goodness. Alright, let's see. Is this the same thing when he sort of just calls them silly people?
Trump lashing out at his own supporters.
Yes, that is the thing he calls them. Donald Trump is once again angry, but this time his ire is directed at a new audience, his own MAGA supporters, which is very funny. I've seen, I think, Jon Stewart talk about this, commenting how now the MAGA crowd is sort of getting a taste of the medicine that everybody else has been having, because so far Trump has been nice to his base, but now they're getting some of his anger. And they are so shocked, so surprised. But everybody has been dealing with this for a while now, and now it all has been equalized. The new audience, his own MAGA supporters. In a blistering post on Truth Social on Wednesday morning, Trump continued to push his backers to stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein, an issue that has driven what appears to be one of the most significant rifts between him and the political movement he built. Weaklings. We read the post directly when he called his supporters weaklings. Trump later told reporters in the Oval Office that he had lost faith in certain people because they got duped by the Democrats on the issue, even though it was Republicans who primarily pushed for more on the Epstein files. Trump's message Wednesday was a significant escalation, reflecting that his supporters aren't all following his lead and adopting his message as they usually do. I wonder why not everybody would be just following Trump's lead on silencing a pedophile scandal. I wonder why. It's also left MAGA-aligned media at a loss of what to do. Torn between much of the base that continues to call for more documents related to Epstein, the late financier and convicted sex offender, and Trump, who insists they should drop the issue. This is a major problem and could hurt turnout in the midterms, said a Republican strategist familiar with Trump's political operation. I sure hope so. I sure hope that the Republican Party as a whole suffers from this. I hope that the MAGA movement suffers from this. And I hope that the Democrats can take advantage of this chip in the armor. Do you think they can? We'll see. It signals betrayal to those who believe the president would expose the deep state. His team made promises, then doubled down. For the base that believes the deep state is real and that Epstein was part of it, this feels like the ultimate knife in the back, the person added. The White House did not immediately return a request for comment. No comment. MAGA media in a bind. Also, link me the Stephen King. Do it now. Link me the Stephen King. I want to see. I want to see the Stephen King. The trouble in moving on from the Epstein is reflected in MAGA-friendly media. The major MAGA media figures have built huge audiences by backing Trump, no matter the policy shift or controversy. When Trump needs cover with his political base, those figures have been a reliable go-to help get his supporters back on message. Where did you link it? I don't see it in the chat. Unless you've linked it to... Oh, you linked it on the Discord. Okay, we're gonna take a look. Alright, I'm gonna check it out in a moment. Charlie Kirk, a vocal Trump supporter and founder of the influential Turning Points USA, on Monday said he was done talking about the issue. Honestly, I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being, Kirk told his large audience. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government to do what needs to be done. Solve it. Balls in their hands. Balls in their hands is such a weird saying. Like, I understand balls in your court. That sort of makes sense to me, but the balls in your hands? That just sounds inappropriate to me. Okay. One day later, he said an assertion that he was no longer talking about Epstein at all is fake news. What he meant, Kirk explained Tuesday, was that he was done talking about Epstein that day. What? Really? Really, dude? Really? You know what? I'm done talking about this topic. I'm done with this topic. Actually, what I meant was that I was done. I was done with this topic for that specific day, for that specific segment. Okay, that's the copious cope that I have ever seen in my life. I think, yes. He was done talking about Epstein at that day. He pointed to the portion of his remarks in which he said, for the time being, which he falsely claimed media outlets ignored. Yeah, for the time being means for today. Apparently, okay? I'm done talking about this for the time being. Okay, time being is over. I'm back to talking about it. I never said I would not be talking about it. This is so stupid. But whatever. Again, no one covered the Saxon part of the statement, Kirk said. No one covered it. The thing has like 10 million viewers on social media. Last week, the Justice Department released a 2-page memo saying that after an exhaustive review, officials had determined there is no evidence of an incriminating client list. MAGA outrage swiftly targeted Attorney General Pam Bondi, who had indicated during a Fox News interview in February that she had Epstein's client list on my desk at that very moment. I guess MAGA is not a very coordinated movement if this is the kind of mess that it ends up being in. Trump says he doesn't understand interest in Epstein's case.
Mr. President, I know you've urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you think that is?
Why they would be so interested. He's dead for a long time. He was never a big factor in terms of life. I think
that Epstein has been a pretty big factor in the lives of quite a few people, actually, especially his victims. No, I think that Epstein has been a pretty big factor in the lives of his victims. But who cares about those, right? Who cares about his victims? Who cares about justice? Who cares about anything, really? Nothing matters. He's dead, so that means that truth doesn't matter anymore. That makes perfect sense to me.
Understand what the interest or what the fascination.
When a perpetrator of a crime dies, The crime basically dies with the perpetrator. Nobody should ever discuss the crime ever again, and it should all be just forgotten about, because that makes perfect sense, right? I think that the moment Hitler committed suicide, all the crimes of Nazi Germany should just be forgotten. Why are you still talking about the history of World War II and Nazi Germany? Hitler has been dead for so long, god damn it.
I really don't. And
Why the interest?
incredible information's been given. Don't forget, we went through years of the Mueller witch hunt and all of the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake. All that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody.
I wonder why a huge... Oh my. I wonder why a huge pedophile crisis topic would be of interest to anybody. A guy that had a whole island full of abused kids. I wonder why. It's such a mystery to me. And that allegedly a bunch of high profile people partook in that island. I wonder why anybody would be interested in that at all. Trump telling MAGA that Epstein was a hoax would be like the Catholic Church saying Jesus' resurrection was a hoax. The only problem with that analogy is that the Jesus resurrection thing is actually not real, and the Epstein Island thing is sadly very real.
It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring.
Yeah, it's super boring. I think the biggest pedophile scandal in U.S. history. That's so boring. Is it? Isn't it? I'm gonna Google it. Okay, I'm gonna Google it now before I make a fool of myself. Is Epstein biggest pedophile scandal in U.S. history? Florida judge calls Epstein the most infamous pedophile in American history. There you go. Biggest pedophile scandal in American history. It was so boring. Such a boring thing. What a boring thing.
And I don't understand why it keeps going.
I just don't get it. Why would people would be interested in this biggest pedophile scandal in our history? I just think it's just the gall.
People, really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
There we go. Oof, beautiful. Things are going just, swimmingly well. Things could not be going better than they are going. Just forget about it, okay? It's boring. In a post-Saturday night, Trump expressed support for Bundy, who is now the focus of MAGA's ire. What's going on with my boys? And in some cases, gals. They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bundy, who is doing a fantastic job. Fox News, still the biggest presence in the country's conservative media, has all but abandoned talking about Epstein, even though it had long provided significant coverage of the issue. A Fox News spokesperson did not return a request for comment. I wonder why. I wonder why Fox News would suddenly stop talking about it when Trump told please, or rather, stop talking about it. On Tuesday, prominent conservative commentator Dinesh D'Souza, who relentlessly spread misinformation that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump, said he was no longer going to talk about the Epstein files, and it's time to move on from the biggest pedophile scandal in US history. Because nobody cares. Nobody cares who partook. Nobody cares what happened. Nobody cares about those details. Just nobody. Let's move on. But in what represents a new wrinkle in MAGA media, other conservative media personalities are continuing to press the issue, a sign that Epstein scandal has a different level of staying power than past Trump MAGA dust-ups. Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, an organization that is trying to obtain Epstein investigation documents, maintains that there is a straightforward solution to the saga, but it requires more transparency. I wonder, Trump is pretty defensive about that transparency, and all I can just ask is, why? I guess. The only question that I want to ask is, why does Trump want so very badly for everybody to forget about this. What is the reason? Just give us the records under FOIA, he said Wednesday on War Room, a popular podcast hosted by MAGA influencer and former Trump advisor Steve Bannon, referring to the Freedom of Information Act. Describe what the records are. If they're withholding anything, tell us why. And there's a court process for it. If we don't like it, we can challenge it. But at least it's a transparency that we don't have currently because of the awful memo that was sent out, he added. I mean, why would there be transparency in a thing that could potentially incriminate Mr. President himself? Okay? I'm not saying he is on the list. I'm not saying he isn't. I'm saying we don't know. Because nobody wants to release it, and Trump just wants everybody to forget about it. And it makes me wonder, what are his motives? No. So let's continue, okay? Megyn Kelly, high-profile conservative commentator and Trump supporter, agreed. There are some right-wing pundits online now who are saying no one cares about Jeffrey Epstein, she said on her show Tuesday. And that's just not true. Yeah, wow, what a shocker. What a shocker that people care about, once again, I will repeat it, the biggest pedophile scandal in US history. Why would people care about that? You know? Oh my God, oh, think of the kids, boo-hoo. Think of the kids. Kelly was at a Kirk-hosted conference over the weekend in Tampa, Florida, where she spent most of her time on stage focused on Epstein and trashing Bundy. Newsmax, a conservative TV network, has also continued to focus on the issue. I like that the cracks are starting to show. This is a big moment for the Democrats to get their crap together, to get their shit together, and to, push this, to sort of take advantage, to win over some electorate. Go, Democrats, do it. Take advantage of this weakness, okay? I hope you can. Oh, wait, never mind. The Democratic Party is too busy attacking that progressive candidate in New York. The Democratic Party has other priorities. So I guess, never mind. Hammering Bundy's role even after Trump has publicly supported her. On Tuesday, host Rob Finnerty blasted Bundy and said if she does not offer more information, the network will call on her to resign. Huh? That's interesting. Either the people Donald Trump appointed to get to the truth are actively covering up a child sex ring and know they are doing it, and in the process of doing it, they are protecting very powerful, very wealthy people, or Pam Bundy very simply and very plainly overpromised, then underdelivered, he said. In Epstein, it's Epstein over and over again. Trump's message over the years has been inconsistent on Epstein, who was accused of running a sex trafficking network. Trump called him a terrific guy in 2002, but said in 2019 that they had a falling out a long time ago. He has insisted that he had no knowledge of what Epstein was doing. I mean, then again, what sort of response would you expect? What was the alternative for the response? What was he supposed to say? Oh yeah, of course I had knowledge of what he was doing. Or I took part, I guess. Was he supposed to say that? Of course he would say he had no knowledge. It's like, I know that people say that Trump's an idiot, but he's not that much of an idiot, okay? Trump helped fuel conspiracy theories about the Epstein files, saying as a candidate that he would release more documents. Well, politicians overpromise, politicians lie. What else is new? What else is new? As president, Trump has said that there are no more documents to release and that the issue is over. So he lied, I guess. At other times, he has said that the files exist, but claimed they were forged by the Democrats and his political enemies, so they should not be released. Of course. It's always... I'm surprised that he hasn't mentioned Joe Biden in this. Sleepy Joe forged those documents in his sleep or something like that. Something really, really stupid. Sleepy Joe did it together with Crooked Hillary and Obama. Obama has given this task to Sleepy Joe, Joe Biden, And he did it. He did it with great fervor. The fervor, the likes of which you have never seen in the history of the world. It's disgusting and awful. I thought he did post that. Basically, more or less. And his political enemies, so they should not be released. For years, it's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, former FBI Director James Comey, former CIA Director John Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration? Trump posted on Truth Social on Saturday night blaming the files on Democrats. See, he did not mention Joe Biden. I guess for the first time in forever, Joe Biden is off the hook. Okay? Even though he was vice president under Obama, he apparently did not partake in this particular wrongdoing. Fanning the flames of the Epstein files helped Trump build his base. But now that he has pulled the rug out from under its feet, it is proving to be a challenge for a president who famously said that essentially nothing could make his loyal supporters leave him. Well, I guess that is the test, isn't it? Biden was too busy sleeping to be part of it. That is true. I guess MAGA loyalty is put to the test, isn't it? Shall we just overlook this huge pedophile scandal? Is that a thing that we should do? Is that not a thing that we should do? Maybe it should be, maybe it not should be. This is so sad. That is very... The administration perpetuated much of this narrative from the outside, and there remains many legitimate questions. But once in power, they continue to feed the monster, and the monster is now feeding on the administration's credibility. Trump famously said the base would not leave even if he shot someone on Fifth Avenue, but now the MAGA base is irate and incredulous. He can shoot straight on Epstein. Republican strategist Matthew Bartlett said.
New tonight, the MAGA movement's push for public disclosure of the Justice Department's files on notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein now includes a high-profile Trump ally.
I'm for transparency.
House Speaker Mike Johnson.
It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide it.
A push for damage control from the president's own daughter-in-law, Lara Trump.
I do think that there needs to be more transparency on this, and I think that will happen.
Earlier today, Attorney General Pam Bondi tried to deflect Epstein questions.
Nothing about Epstein. I'm not going to talk about Epstein.
Reporters pressed her on new comments today from President Trump, suggesting Bondi consider opening some files.
She's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release.
The president said today you would release credible files related to Mr. Epstein. Are you prepared to do that, and when would you do it?
Our memo speaks for itself, and we'll get back to you on anything else.
That DOJ memo said it found no incriminating client list, no credible evidence of blackmail, and therefore no further disclosure.
There we go.
That stunned some Trump supporters because she had said this in February when asked about a client list.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Then her push to clarify.
It's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
The controversy...
That's a direct lie. She was asked about the list, and she said it is on my desk. You cannot just backtrack and say, I actually meant something totally different.
A political wildfire in MAGA world.
Make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Asked about these new calls for action, senior officials point to the president's own words, where he says it's up to Bondi to decide. One official telling me, we'll see what happens. Tom?
Wonderful. Wonderful stuff. Of course, when Trump says it is up to Person X to decide, he knows perfectly well he's talking about some loyal lapdog. So it's not really going to be them deciding. Whatever Trump says goes. That's the gist of it. We'll find out more in 2 weeks or 50 days or whatever. Compounding the problem Tuesday, some prominent House Republicans, including Speaker Mike Johnson, LA pushed for more Epstein documents to be released in direct defiance of Trump. That is pretty gutsy of Mike Johnson. I did not see that coming from Mike Johnson. I am a little bit surprised. Johnson also said that Bundy needs to come forward and explain her contradictions on the issue, and that former Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell, who is currently in federal prison, should testify before Congress. I am for transparency, Johnson told conservative media personality Benny Johnson. It's a very delicate subject, but we should put everything out there and let the people decide. That was not gonna happen, Mike. That is not happening, Mike. You know who your boss is, Mike Johnson. What do you mean we need to put things out there and let the people decide? You know that's not happening. Wake up. Wake up, Michael, and smell the roses, okay? That's not happening. Not in your lifetime. Senator Josh Hawley, RMO, said he found it a little difficult to believe that the idea that the DOJ and the FBI, who prosecuted cases relating to this, don't have any idea who Epstein's clients were. My view is make public everything you can make public. That's what the president said yesterday. I think that that would be, they want my advice and they don't. But if the DOJ were asking for my advice, that's what I would say. Make it all public, he told NBC News on Wednesday. Well, those are just weaklings and traitors for the Democrats. They're working for the Democrats. Can't we just discuss the beautiful, amazing economy that Trump has created? Can't we just talk about that? Can't we just forget about all this inconvenient stuff? True. The MAGA political base had small fights and disagreements over the years, but nothing has consumed and divided it like the Epstein issue. Grassroots supporters say they feel betrayed, which will probably affect the donations for Trump, right? Funding. By a president who long promised transparency on the issue, and the vast MAGA political and media infrastructure has split on the issue. That's good news. Giancarlo Sopo, who led Hispanic media for Trump's 2020 presidential campaign, said the president should ignore those voices at his own peril. I don't think he could just ignore this. I honestly don't think this will bite him. This is already biting him, trying to ignore this, trying to tell people, just forget about it. This is crazy. It's all Obama and crooked Hillary. And you know what? It's the Martians also. I don't think you can sweep this under the rug anymore. I don't think that's feasible. I don't think that's possible. Obviously, the public deserves transparency, but the White House would also be wise not to mistake a handful of carnival barkers for the voice of the Republican base. Yeah, a few of carnival barkers. He said, no modern president has commanded his party's loyalty as firmly as Donald Trump. Well, that loyalty is being tested right now. Also, no politician should have a base of sycophants that would just do anything, okay? A president should not be able to say, I could shoot a person and my base will never turn their backs on me. That should not be the case, okay? There should not be this unconditional fanaticism about a politician, okay? There should not be this blind loyalty. That is not a good thing. Like most Americans want leaders focused on improving their lives, which, I don't know if covering up for huge pedophile scandals is focusing on improving people's lives. Rather than appeasing an insatiable grift industrial complex should be the administration's priority, he added. That appeared to be the direction Trump was taking Wednesday morning with his latest heated Truth Social post directed at his supporters, still talking about the Epstein issue. Also, unlike Republicans, I've already read this. Democrats stick like glue, and I guess the Republicans just believe the Epstein hoax. So there you have it.